In case you missed it, your host Kayla Blakesley is at it again. What did she say this time? Tune in to find out right now.
We have been following this Andy Zay, Governor Mike Braun fight from the beginning, and it certainly didn't end the way that I necessarily expected it to. So Andy Zay sued Governor Mike Braun after Braun removed him from the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission, arguing the governor didn't really have the legal authority to fire him the way he did. Braun's side fired back with allegations involving campaign funds, employee bonuses, and financial disclosures, things like that. You get the idea. And then before a judge could really settle this underlying legal question of whether or not the governor had for cause, there was a settlement. The state agreed to pay $625,000. So now I have questions, starting with where exactly that $625,000 comes from. So to have the conversation, we are turning to local attorney Kyle Golf from Golf Legal Group so he can break down the legal ins. Hey, Kyle.
Good morning, Kayla. I do need to remind the listeners this information is information purposes only, should not be construed as legal advice. I also do need to add a second disclosure. I do not have any relation to any of the parties that were involved in this case.
So let's start with, first of all, you always get the job of helping us sort through all of these stories that end up so far in the weeds, and we're going to do our best to pick through this one. But I want to start with the question that I think a lot of taxpayers are already asking, if they haven't yet. When this settlement says the state of Indiana will pay Andy Zay $625,000, whose money is that?
Yeah, Kayla. It's been pretty widely reported at this point that the money is going to be coming from taxpayer dollars. It's not clear as of this morning where exactly the $625,000 is coming from in terms of which line item of budget that this $625,000 is coming from. But it does seem pretty clear at this point that this is going to be paid or has already been paid with taxpayer dollars.
So, okay, can you kind of break down some of these payments for us? Because I know they're kind of treated differently. You've got, I think, $185,000 in wages, $300,000 for some other claims, and then, there's like $140,000 for attorney fees and costs. I mean, Kyle, legally and tax-wise, do those distinctions matter? Do they mean anything?
Yeah, Kayla, it's really interesting that we've got this document in the first place. This settlement agreement was not part of the court filings, which is pretty traditional. You don't really see a settlement document filed in court itself. What you usually see is some sort of document that says, "Hey, this case has been settled. We're done. Please dismiss it." The judge dismisses it, and off they go. But in this particular instance, because it includes taxpayer dollars, it would be subject to Indiana's what's the law? The Public Record law. What's the Access to Public Records Act? That's it. So basically, what's going on here is because there's taxpayer dollars, they have to be able to show what that is, and so it would be discoverable in some sort of Public Records Act request. And so because of that, we get to see, and I'm not sure if it was immediately handed off to the media at the beginning or if media went and tracked this down, but it has been pretty widely reported that we've got this $625,000 settlement. So I went and actually tracked down the document itself, and there are three different sections where money is flowing. The first one is it looks to be like some sort of lost wages line, so what he would have been entitled to, I think, if he was continuing to work. Then there's a second one that sort of says that the amount is more or less equal to what he would have earned had he continued to work through the term. And then there is, I believe, about a 25% payment going to Zay's attorneys in this case as well. Now, like I said, these settlement offers and settlement agreements are typically private and oftentimes will have confidentiality language in them. And so for business owners who are dealing with something like this, you do want to make sure that there's confidentiality clauses in there that sort of protects the terms from coming out. Now, that wasn't an option in this particular scenario, but it is pretty important to try to protect that because now sort of everyone does know what the terms of the settlement is, and in a private agreement, you would want to try to protect those interests.
Okay, so where do things go from here? I mean, is this a done deal? I mean, there's no scenario where Andy Zay can come back and reopen this case, right?
Yeah, so there's two different ways to dismiss a case. One is called with prejudice. The other one is called without prejudice. And what that means is with prejudice means that you would dismiss it and not be able to open it back up. And without prejudice means that you cannot. And I asked that same question, Kayla, so I went looking at the court documents. And what I found is that the case has been dismissed with prejudice, which means that neither party, not just Andy Zay, but neither party can come back and reopen this. Now, it is still possible that there is some sort of dispute that arises out of this, and you could come back and sort of litigate based off of that dispute. But with regard to the underlying dispute, it would be very difficult, if not impossible, to raise it again.
So really quick, Kyle, before I let you go, did Andy Zay, did he already get this money, or how does that work?
Yeah, it's unclear to me whether he has or has not, but it seems to me, Kayla, like they probably wouldn't be signing this documentation without already receiving the money or having some sort of very strong guarantee that it's coming. And, Kayla, real quick, this does underlie the importance of defining cause. Neither party is admitting fault in this case. But especially if business owners are dealing with a private matter and dealing with an employment contract, definitely want to try to define what cause means. That does seem to be the underlying dispute here, because the statute said, yep, for cause, but it didn't go back through and actually define exactly what cause meant.
Gotcha on that. Well, I appreciate you digging through the weeds with us on this one. It seems like we've been talking about this story for quite some time. So as Kyle, as always, we appreciate you breaking down the legalese. We'll do it again next week with whatever story pops up.
Absolutely, Kayla. Take care.
And that is local attorney Kyle Goff from Goff Legal Group joining us live here on WOWO. As always, you can ask the attorney anything by texting the word legal to 45364.
Hey, it's KB. As a show of appreciation for listening, use my promo code WOWO for deep discounts on all kinds of products at MyPillow.com. That's promo code WOWO.
Podcasts by Federated Media.